What's going on, YouTube world? Today we're going to be talking about the one and only thing that I absolutely hate about selling on eBay. And any reseller that's been doing it for any length of time probably already knows what I'm going to say. Let's get into the video.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Jason, aka Mr. Llama, the not so better half of the Lazy Llamas, which is the eBay store that I run with my wife, Mrs. Llama. We started selling on eBay about 3 years ago, part-time, and we grew our business from doing $0 to over $10,000 a month in sales in less than 2 years. Okay, let's just get right into it. The one thing I absolutely hate about selling on eBay is buyers not paying for their items.
Hate is a strong word, and accurate.
Okay, for the most part, I love selling on eBay. And for this channel, I want to be overall positive and inspirational. I believe eBay is a great side hustle and anybody can do it with a little time and a little effort. And if you stick around to the end, I promise this video will end on a positive note. In the past 30 days, I've had 4 orders that had to be canceled due to non-payment, which is not a very high percentage of my overall orders. Current eBay policy is that buyers have 4 days to pay for an item once they've purchased it. This means it's no longer available to be purchased by any other buyers. They've already quote unquote bought the item, they just haven't paid for it.
How does that even make sense?
And they have up to 4 days to complete the transaction. And in the meantime, that item is unable to be purchased by anybody else. This policy seems absolutely absurd to me, especially when the buyer is not even in communication with the seller. For instance, if it's been a day and the item is still sitting there not paid for, I will send an invoice with a message saying I will send the item out as soon as it's paid for. If I still haven't heard anything later on in that day, I will send a direct message just saying, let me know if you would still like to purchase this item. If I still haven't heard anything on the second day after purchase, I will say something to the effect of, please let me know if you still like to purchase this item. If not, I can cancel it. You know, no big deal. Just let me know. And you never hear back from them. And you still have to sit there and wait the full 4 days before you can cancel an item due to the buyer not paying.
Wow, that doesn't seem fair.
But of course, I already know in that second day that when I've sent an invoice with a message, and then a message that same day, and then the next day sending another message, and there's no response, I already know that this buyer is not paying for this item.
Logical.
And yet I have to wait. Now, within the last 10 days, I've had the same item sell twice and have to be canceled due to non-payment. It was these Mizuno athletic shoes. I don't sell a lot of these. I found these at a Goodwill for $8. They were kind of odd because there weren't a lot of sold comps for this exact shoe. There were a couple listed, and apparently they were rare, and the ones that were listed for like over $200. I listed these for $100 plus shipping, and within a couple of days of them being listed, I got an offer for $85, which I accepted. And the buyer, of course, never paid. After 4 days, I canceled due to non-payment and relisted them. And within a couple of days, I got some more offers on this item. And believe it or not, one of the offers was from the buyer who didn't pay the first time.
That guy has some nerve.
Which, of course, I declined that offer. And we'll get more into that later. But I did accept another offer of $80. And again, the buyer didn't pay. Now, I did my usual routine. I sent an invoice with a message. I sent a second message later that day. And then I sent the third message on the next day asking if they would like to cancel if they no longer want the item. Of course, no response. So I called eBay this day, mostly just to vent my frustration over their policy, but I was hoping that maybe there was some loophole or something I didn't know that would allow me to cancel this item early and get these shoes relisted. And there was.
That sounds promising.
Don't get excited.
Oh, well, that's disappointing.
The eBay rep told me to lie and cancel the order, saying that the buyer asked me to cancel the order. I have never heard from this buyer. The buyer had never communicated with me about anything, let alone asking me to cancel the order. I decided not to take the eBay representative's advice. I just continued on with my rant about how horrible this policy is and that they need a new policy of 48 hours if the buyer is in zero communication with the seller. The seller should be able to cancel due to non-payment or non-communication of the buyer. If you're not able to even get the buyer to say, yes, I'm going to pay for it, I don't get paid until this day, or something. If the buyer is not communicating with the seller should be able to cancel that transaction within 48 hours.
Logical.
A seller having an item, especially an expensive item, tied up in non-payment for 4 days when it could be out there selling is just utterly ridiculous to me. One of the items that sold during this past 30-day period that we're discussing, one of the 4 items was a PlayStation 4 that was nearly a $200 item that was very in demand, that would have sold within those 4 days to a buyer who actually would have paid promptly, and yet it's sitting there in buyer jail, I guess. I don't know how else to put it. Just sitting there in limbo.
Something.
When I'm having to wait the 4 days before I can cancel it due to non-payment. And the same thing with the PlayStation 4. I tried contacting the buyer several times and never heard back from them. And it was obvious after the second day of no communication that this buyer is not going to pay for this item. But not all hope is lost. There are steps you can take to help prevent this from happening very often. If you go into your seller hub, like if you go into your actual seller hub on your eBay account on your computer, you can scroll down to where you'll see shortcuts. And in the shortcuts, you can click on a link that says block bidders. This is where you can actually block people from buying from you. And I was a little late on blocking that one buyer that had made the offer that I accepted that didn't pay for it for those shoes. And then that same buyer made an offer again. I had not gone in and done this yet. I tried to do it pretty much immediately, but I had not done it yet. And when I saw that username, I knew exactly who they were.
You again!
And I went in. I, of course, declined that offer and went straight into here, because when you click on this block bidders, you get a text box. And all you do is type in the usernames that you want blocked, separated by a comma. That's it. It's very simple. So now this buyer can no longer buy from me or contact me in any way. So again, just type in the usernames of the buyers you don't want to be able to purchase from you, separate them by a comma, and that's it. Simple enough. And then you can actually go a step further and do some more preventative measures to keep this from happening. You can actually place settings so that certain buyers are also unable to purchase from you, even if they're not in your blocked buyers text box. As you scroll down, you'll see these 3 little check boxes, and you can check these and edit them. As you can see, I have it set that buyers that have caused more than 2 cancellations due to non-payment within the last 30 days are unable to purchase from me. I put it as 2 because, mistakes happen, 1 in 30 days, maybe not that big a deal. But if you're causing 2 or more cancellations due to non-payment within 30 days, I don't want you purchasing from me. So any buyer who has had transactions canceled because they didn't pay for them more than once over the last 30 days are unable to purchase from me. This helps make sure people buying from you are, buyers who are going to pay for their items. It's not 100%. I still have, cancellations due to non-payment, but out of the hundreds of orders I've done over the last 30 days, only 4 had to be canceled due to non-payment. So it's not a huge problem, but it is absolutely frustrating when it happens, especially on higher end items that, are going to sell quickly, and they're just sitting there, basically in somebody's shopping cart and just not getting paid for. So you can edit all 3 of these check marks. You can edit them however you want. You do it however you want to do it. I have mine set, the way I want them. You can set them the way that you want them. And then once you're done getting everything set the way you want, I would suggest hitting this little button that says that blocked buyers cannot even contact you. Once you've blocked them, they can't buy from you, nor can they message you or contact you in any way. Because non-payment is not the only reason you would block somebody. I've blocked people because they were rude.
People are so rude.
And, threatening and things like that. So, there's other reasons to block buyers other than non-payment. But you can click this and they can't even contact you anymore. Once you have it set the way you want, just hit submit, and that's it. And this will help protect you from having this happen. Like I said, not 100%, but definitely a measure that I would say is worth taking. And we're going to end the video there. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can see future videos. And in case you don't know, God loves you, I love you, and we'll see you next time. Peace.